Hello and welcome to the CFCTALK podcast. A bit of a weird one tonight. We're doing a live stream rather than a recording. And before we get into discussions, and of course it's an interesting discussion with the Champions League final kicking off in less than 24 hours. I'm sure everyone's nervous at the moment about that. So firstly, Amart, welcome back. Great to have you back. I think Alex is still busy with work, so he'll be joining us hopefully for the review of this game. Hopefully tomorrow in a happy mood and all three of us celebrating. But we've got a few guests tonight for this discussion. We're doing a live stream, so we thought we'd get a few guests. Shyam who is from Twitter. He's a contributor to the Chelsea Social, as well as a writer for the Chelsea FC Vavil. I hope that's the right pronunciation for that. And then we've also got Travis, who's an incredible writer for the Chelsea Social, as well as the host of the Balanced Blue podcast. Welcome to the stream, guys. How are you guys feeling so far? Have the nerves kicked in? Are you guys? How are you dealing with those?
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to really set in. Work week's wrapped up, so now it's time to really start shifting gears and focus on what's tomorrow. So I'm ready to get out. I'm going to be going out and with one of my friends here and hitting a like a soccer pub that's here in Indianapolis. So I'm getting pretty nervous. I don't really want to think about potential of watching them lose. So I'm just going to be blindly optimistic at this point and go with it. We're going to win the cup. But yeah, nerves are kicking in. It's starting to really feel real. First time in 9 years. And I distinctly remember that day 9 years ago. So hoping for more of the same.
Shyam, how about you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, same.
Sorry,
same,
go ahead.
Here, yes, same here. So yeah, like as Travis said, it's been 9 years, but then if you still look back at it, you feel like it happened yesterday, like it's so fresh, and first time in the finals in nine years, it has to be nervy, So yeah.
Yeah, I can agree. I mean, to be honest, I think I'd say all three of you are a lot older than me. And you're probably all three of you experienced the 2008 final, 2012 final. In my case, I've only seen Chelsea win a Champions League. I've never kind of experienced that feeling of having to lose a Champions League final. So yeah, it's exciting at the same time. It's nervous because I feel like if they do lose, what am I going to do for the next few days? How do you react to a Chelsea loss after such a roller coaster of a season? But yeah, Amart, your thoughts and your thoughts on tomorrow's game.
Oh, it's difficult to even put together, but I mean, it's something that I think a lot of us didn't really expect that we'll get this far in the tournament, but for some reason we are here and we just have to go all out and win it. And I'm just hoping we win it and I'm praying that we don't go to penalties because I've had enough of penalties. Chelsea going to finals and getting to penalties. 2008 was very, very bad. Then 2012 was very nervy, but we got through it. And I don't want us to go through penalties again. Let's kill the game. Let's get it done with for 90 minutes. And yeah, I relate with what Travis said. I can clearly remember where I was in 2012 when we won the Champions League, how I was feeling, how I lost my voice for almost a week. I was just screaming and shouting on top of my voice. And unlike him, probably tomorrow, I wanted to go and watch with friends, but unfortunately, I can't do it, and all of them will be watching at home. I'll also be watching at home, so it's going to be different this time. But I just hope that we win it and get the job done.
Oh yeah, I'm on the. I get what you mean because I was meant to go out as well. I think Matthew was going out as well. We were all, I think, going to go out with friends, and it's a match you usually enjoy with your friends. It's one match you want to sit around with Chelsea fans and have a drink with. But yeah, unfortunate circumstances, I guess. But yeah, let's dive in straight to the preview. Travis, Man City, they've been incredible this season in the Premier League. Luckily, or should we say unluckily, we've defeated them twice, and now Pep Guardiola is acting like he knows everything about Chelsea and he can defeat us without even giving any effort inside.
I mean, all credit to City. They've had a phenomenal year, and I think that's what happens when you have a squad that has that level of investment, as well as the manager that they do have, who arguably has been the best manager in the last 2 decades in world football. And they have a lot of continuity and team chemistry, and they everybody knows their role from top down, and everybody's been there for quite a long time. And also have to credit to them that some of the new starters they purchased, like Ruben Diaz, he slotted in and became player of the year this year in England. So they've done a really good job. But I do think, like your point about Pep Guardiola kind of acting like tactically he's figured it out. And I saw there was a quote that, I think it was after the time that we beat them in the Premier League 2-1 that he said something to the effect that, I've seen them twice now. I know what to do to win in the final. And I kind of feel like a lot of that's just posturing and bluffing, if I'm honest. I mean, I'm sure that he knows what we're going to do. We know what they're going to do, kind of thing. I'm not expecting it to be where either manager just looks clueless in this. But I do think that, I think I've seen the stat. Tuchel has done really well against Guardiola in his career, as well as, we beat them 2 straight. And we previously, really the only time we really beat them, the Sarri era, we were 1-1. Lampard era, we were 1-1, kind of up and down. So it's going to be interesting to see how we negate specifically like De Bruyne and Riyad Mahrez.
I think one of the threats that we were hearing about, Gundogan, I think he was injured tonight, so that might be going Chelsea's way. You think, Sham? Do you think that's going to help Chelsea, or do you think Gundogan might have just been sitting this one out?
Well. To start off with, I think every single player out there in the set 11 or the bench has the potential to change the match in seconds. Every single one of them. You take Foden, you take Gundogan, you take De Bruyne, anyone, Dias, Stones, everyone out there. So I think they're in the right mold and right shape, and at the right time, to win things big. They are clearly the favorites here, and you know why. They have been winning things. They have been on a fantabulous run over the last year or so. And I think Gundogan missing, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's some bluff out there. But if it is true, I think they'll still make up for it. Fair player. I'm not denying that. But then they have enough strength in their bench, to negate the absence of someone like, say, Ilkay Gundogan out there. But I think the bigger threat is gonna be Pep. I think this is going to be a match of the two elite minds of modern game, Pep and Tuchel. So whoever has whoever on their day is gonna outthink the other guy or outsmart the other guy is actually gonna win this game. Simple as that for me.
And I want to add on to. Sorry, I want to add on to what you said about Gundogan, and the thing is we are Chelsea. Like, somehow players miraculously get better before they face us. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's there tomorrow playing against us. So whether he's injured or not, I'll just ignore that for now, because like you said, they have other players that can do the job. They can get the job done, and we'll see what team he plays up tomorrow.
Another kind of question that's been going around Twitter and on social media is the discussion whether Pep's going to go back to a back 4 or continue with a back 3. Of course, he played with a back 3 against Chelsea the last few times. He's lost against Tuchel twice. And there's talks where he could go back to a back 4, sitting deep and trouble Chelsea the way that where they kind of struggle against teams such as Aston Villa we saw against the weekend. Travis, you think Guardiola is going to play a back 4 and wait for Chelsea to make their move and then counter?
That's a really difficult question, because I think Guardiola, when it gets to like a semifinal or later on, is really impossible to predict. He seems to switch up roles and formations and starting lineups pretty fluidly when it gets this late in the game, and some have even kind of criticized that he overthinks it when he gets this far. However, I do think that what we're going to see is, I don't know why he would switch to a back 3. I think he should do. And I think we should expect what their best, overall lineup is and what they normally play, which is that 4-3-3. I mean, you look at a lot of their results that they've done, throughout the season and throughout his entire time there, except that brief stint when Antonio Conte kind of reinvented the entire league, and almost everybody was switching to a back three. City have kind of kept with that 4-3-3 formation, and I do think that's what we'll probably see. What I'm most interested to see in going along a 4-3-3, what I'm most interested to see is if he employs De Bruyne in a false nine role. Because leading up to Thomas Tuchel's appointment in those two matches he had against Man City, De Bruyne had scored 3 straight goals it scored 3 straight times against Chelsea in 3 matches. So he really does have some goal scoring record against his former club. So I'll be interested to see if he lines up with the false nine, or if he continues with Gabriel Jesus in that striker role to lead the attack, or if he just pulls something completely unexpected and starts moving players around a lot. But I think as far as that back line, probably for sure we're going to see Diaz. Most likely we'll see Laportois. And I feel that it's going to be interesting to see if he uses Zinchenko or not, and especially alluding to the Gundogan potential absence. There have been a few times this season where he has played Zinchenko as a midfielder. So I don't know if he would do that in a final, but they still have Rodri, they still have Fernandinho, could easily play in that midfield along with De Bruyne, and then maybe they go more attack oriented. But it's going to be really difficult for us either way in this match. I think it's going to be very cagey and tactical as opposed to just kind of an all out, teams going at each other trying to score goals from the off.
Amart, a point that Travis made about it being tactical, and that we've kind of seen this season, that when tactical teams play against each other, it usually ends in a draw. We usually see extra time and the game being stretched. Do you think this Chelsea team can stretch Man City to a full 120 minutes and maybe even deal with them and then go to penalties, even though I think all Chelsea fans would be in a heart attack situation if it goes to penalties? Because I was watching the Man United penalties the other day, and even though it doesn't affect Chelsea, I sat there I was nervous, and I was like, what if this is a Champions League final and it's Chelsea? So yeah, Amart, you think this Chelsea team can contain Man City for 120 minutes if required?
This question is weird because it depends on what Man City we see tomorrow. It really depends on that, because like yesterday I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, another Chelsea fan, on what we think Pep will go with, and I was telling him that I wouldn't be surprised if Pep just came with a team and sat back and defended and then hit us on the counter, because that has been our kryptonite. For some time now. Like Leicester did that against us, Arsenal did that against us, Villa did that against us. So I don't see why he might go with a formation or a style that we've already beaten him twice in. So it might change. I think it might change. I think he might either go back to the 4-3-3 and still play defensively with that 4-3-3. He can still sit back with that 4-3-3 and hit on the counter, because even when he hits on the counter with 4-3-3, it will be more effective because he has more attackers up front. But like the question you're answering, you're asking, if they come with the 4-3-3 and decide to open up the game, we can definitely contain them for 90 minutes. That we can definitely do that. But if they decide to sit back, we have problems in breaking tough defenses, and they have excellent defenders. They have really, really good defenders. Ruben Diaz, Stones, they have fantastic defenders. So it's going to be difficult, but we also have to come up with our A game. We have to come up with our A game. We can't really miss chances. Any chance, I know we're going to get a lot of chances. We have a record of getting a lot of chances. We're going to get that, but we just have to take them when it comes. We have to take them when it comes. We have to be more clinical when it comes, because any chance that we miss might go against us, because when they get chances, they are going to score. The possibility of them finishing their chances will be way higher than us. So we have to do that. If as long as we put our chances through and we are able to finish them, I think we will not have any problem. And another thing that I wanted to add is that if it's very difficult, if they go with that team, they go with the defensive setup and they score first, it will be very, very difficult for us to come back from a goal down. So again, we need to go in for the jugular as early as possible and get a goal. And then we can also sit back and then also hit on the counter in that way, which has worked for us. It worked for us against Real Madrid, worked for us against Atletico Madrid. So it can work for us against City. So it all depends on what style he implements tomorrow.
I think a point you mentioned, Amar, is if City score first, it'll be very hard for us to kind of score a goal because of the way they set up defensively. Shyam, the importance of Kante and Mendy in not conceding goals for Chelsea. I mean, we know how Chelsea Twitter today celebrated the fact that Tuchel kind of confirmed that both players are fit and ready for selection. Are they going to be match fit in the sense of, are they going to be sharp, which might be the issue? But do you see them starting tomorrow, and how important are they if they do start?
I think Kante, Mendy, I think they are the guys for us tomorrow, without a shadow of doubt. Especially Mendy. I think Mendy just gives that sense of confidence, in the backline itself. Apart from the fab player he just transformed that energy to the defenders out behind, and that's actually very important. As a player, you need someone behind. You need your keeper behind, who says, like, yes, I'm there here. You need that vibe out there. And again, Conte, I think all of us know he's a big game player. Him being 100% or 50% doesn't matter to me, really. He has to be there on the pitch. Just the sole presence of Conte, regardless of how fit he is going to be a big headache for Pep. And I think he holds the key for the midfield for us. I know JFI or Kova might start along with him, but I think Conte holds the key for us. It's his running, it's his it's winning the ball back, how fast we recover the balls. That's going to be very important, and him and Mount are going to be so important. We say Mount plays like out of the wings, or as a just behind the two strikers, but I think him matching along with Kante to win back the ball immediately we lose it is going to be very important for us, very important. And I think, as I said again, these two guys are going to be so important. I think the two most important player for us easily.
The kind of issue that arises, Travis, is when you have Kante in midfield, you want someone to kind of support him. At the moment, Jorginho and Kovacic both have either had their incredible days under Tuchel where they've performed incredibly, and then there are days where they're with respect to them, they haven't been at their best. Who would you see starting tomorrow, since we've seen Kovacic kind of struggle the last few games as he's not 100% fit? However, we know how good of a ball carrier he is, how he helps the ball move from the defense to attack.
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, and it's been something I think a lot of the fan base had on their mind. And despite how you may feel about him and anything like that, I think you have to start alongside Kante. You have to start Jorginho, and I think the reason why I would say that is because if you look at how Kova and Kante both similarly have a lot of similarities in how they play, you look at how Kante is best really as like a roaming sort of ball winning midfielder. I don't really see him as a real six or like a number 6 role player, that true defensive midfielder. I think he moves around too much. So when you're pairing him with Kovacic also moves around a lot on the field and makes these dribbles forward, as well as I feel that he has this issue where, because he goes so far forward sometimes and drifts a lot, he doesn't really make up for that with tracking runners, right? And if you look at Jorginho, like one thing against him that, the knocks against him are physicality and pace. And sometimes it just seems that he just has this ability to, have like 4 or 5 really good games and then 2 bad games. But I think the one thing about him that pairs well with Kante can roam around the field, win the ball, move higher up. And Jorginho really has a lot of good positioning, right? He doesn't need the speed as much because he relies on a lot of positioning. And if you look in the Champions League, I'm pretty sure the last I checked, he does have the most interceptions in the Champions League this year. So I feel that he does offer a lot from just a positioning standpoint. He can kind of sit back and be that kind of base and that rock, even if he's not that destroyer number 6 midfield role that we might actually prefer to have back there. And that might be addressed later in the summer. But I do think when you look at the kind of the balance of things and the strengths of Jorginho and the strengths of Kante and the weaknesses of Kante and the weaknesses of Jorginho, they're almost vice versa, right? They're almost the opposite of each other. So I feel like they have a good balance and a good chemistry when they play together. And what I fear is that with Kovacic is if you start him alongside Kante, because we all know Kante is starting. He's the best midfielder we have, hands down. One of the only world-class players I think we have in this squad. I just fear that it'll be too much roaming and moving around the field, and we'll leave maybe a little bit too much space on breaks. And as Amart was alluding to earlier, Pep might actually want to sit back and realize that this team doesn't break down low defensive blocks, and they are hit on the counter many times. And I think that's where I would be concerned if you have that pairing together, playing in midfield in this type of match, especially if Pep wants to adopt the tactics in terms of attacking senses to more of a counter-attacking focus.
I agree with you. I think it's a bit of a tricky one for Tuchel. He can either, go with what he does every time, or switch it around as Pep might do as well. There's a chance that we could even see Tuchel go to a back four. Maybe he's had a whole week to prepare for this. He's seen the performance we've had against Aston Villa. Amart, player selection for the lineups. I think two players we've been seeing play really well at the moment, or at least create a lot of chances for Chelsea at the moment, are Thiago Silva and Ben Chilwell. Those long balls from defense, and even though Ben Chilwell has had 3 offside goals, lead like the same in the same way. How important would they be if Guardiola decides I'll just sit back and as Travis said, annoy Chelsea and not let them break the defense?
I mean, Chilwell has been one of our best players in recent games. Even the games that we lost, like, he has been the one that he has been like the shining light in those dark times. But Thiago Silva's importance is undeniable. If he's playing on the pitch, like, attackers fear him. Like, we need defenders like that. We need defenders who attackers are afraid to take on because they know that they can't beat, or they've already psyched in their mind that they can't beat, so they'll not even try to take him off. Just like how when Mendy is in the goal post, attackers don't often take shots, but when Kepa is there, they take shots. So it's kind of like a psyche thing. So with Thiago Silva there, is very, very important. And like we said earlier, Mendy offers certain confidence at the back, and then Thiago Silva also adds to that confidence to also at the back. So when he's playing, there's a lot of confidence there. Every guy is next to him, and Aspi or whoever it is that will be on the left side is next to him. It adds so much confidence to that side, and those players are mature enough to know that this is a very, very big game, and they are going to bring their A game. Going to Chilwell, like comparing him to Alonso, I would say that usually Alonso slows down our game and Chilwell advances it better. Like, Chilwell is better going forward than Alonso, even though Alonso has a better scoring record and he can finish better than Chilwell. But I've always preferred Chilwell when playing games like this, because even though we sit back, even though the teams might sit back, he always finds a way to break through the defenses on the wings there. He always finds a way to break through. It's just unfortunate that when a cross comes in or a pass comes in, we don't finish it, because some of the chances that we've got in the past, you realize that it comes from the wings, and it's now the attackers tend to finish it, and that's where the problem is. So with Chilwell, I'm very, very assured. I'm very 90% assured that he will be able to break through defenses, and I think his side is secured. It's the right side that I have an issue with. I'm not too keen on Reece James playing at centre back and Aspi playing on the wings. I'm not too keen on that, because I feel like Aspi is a bit slower. Even though sometimes he gets through, he's a bit slower in getting there, and sometimes his crosses to aren't the best. But I feel like Reece James is faster, so he can equally match what Chilwell is doing on the left. So you can see in our recent games, like I think against Leicester or so, you see that our attack on the left was way better than our attack on the right, because Aspi was slower there, especially when Chilwell came on. So I'm just hoping that he goes with Reece and Chilwell instead of Chilwell and Aspi, so that Aspi goes back. And then I know that Reece came because of Vardy, and because he did so well, he has been put in that position. But I think that's not his position. He needs to move further up the pitch, and we need that space. You know that the City defenders, the strikers, the midfielders, they are all extremely fast. So we need people who are also fast, who can break on the counter when we need them to break on the counter. So yeah, Chilwell and Reece James goes for me, and Thiago Silva definitely should start. Like, all of them should start.
think that's a great point you've put in, and I'll go back to the cup final. I don't even think I want to discuss Chilwell and Alonso and see who's going to start. I think it's pretty clear that everyone wants Chilwell to start, and it should be the obvious choice for Thomas Tuchel. No more experimenting, Thomas. It's the final. Defend with 9 players and take it to extra time and then score a goal. I don't care. Just win it, as long as it's not penalties. I can't survive that. But no. So yeah, I think we could head into the lineups for tomorrow. Let's start off, since we've already kind of discussed the back four and the goalkeeper situation and the midfield. The forwards, it's very tricky to kind of pick someone because we don't really have a strike man. No one's really been there and created enough chance, and not created, at least not had any contributions to goals. I think the most I've got written over here is Werner with 22 in 51 appearances. So Shyam, who do we start? The front three. It's been the challenge for Tuchel almost all season to see who fits best.
Yes. I mean the fact that we don't have a natural 9 adds to the fact that we have changed so much in the past, be it Lampard, be it Tuchel. I think for the finale, I think I'd go with Timo and Kai up front, and Mount playing just behind them, and I think this is going to add more to our creative outlet, because we know Kai and Timo gel so well up front, and Mount again he's actually our best player this season. And for some reason, I feel like I felt Tuchel has underused Kai so far, be it the last few matches, be it the finale in the FA Cup or against the Leicester in the league, or the Aston Villa game. I think Kai offers so much more for us. I mean, he's not been the best of form this year, but again, simply the presence of Kai, I think makes up for a change. So to me, I think Kai and Timo and Mount playing just behind them. That'd be me.
Travis, who would your front three be?
Yeah, it's a really difficult question, because we've seen some inconsistency in the last couple of matches from really all of the attackers, more or less. After pretty much post Madrid, I feel that we've seen a kind of a collapse there. I think that in this sense, if in the chance that City do actually play how they normally do, right, they're going to play a little bit higher of a line and a little more of a positionally based attacking style. I think that you have to have Timo Werner in there to keep that back line always conscious and aware of where he is in the field, so they can't push up too high. And then that might disorganize their press a little more by leaving more space in between defensive and midfield and forward lines, and might give us something that we can exploit better between those if we need to play in those half spaces. So I think that's why I would go with Timo Werner. And then additionally, I would go, obviously Mason Mount's going to play, right? If you look at his statistics from an attacking standpoint, he's just first or second pretty much in almost every metric there is. And the one that really stands out to me is that he created 183 shot creating actions this season, which was the first, the most in our team. And what that shows, I think, is his presence on the field, even though he may not be getting a lot of assists and doesn't have these open play assists that you might hear criticisms of. What he's doing a lot is he's getting the ball and doing something with it that goes off to somebody else, that then leads to a shot or a goal creating action. And I think that's where his role is best served. I've talked to a few people about this. One is Travis Tyler, who's a co-host on my podcast as well. And it's kind of what he really says very well, that Mount has this hockey assister kind of, or the secondary assist kind of role. And then of course he also has like the tireless pressing and just nonstop work rate as well. And in a final like this, those are traits that can, are pretty much immeasurable in their weight and in value to the team. So I do think that you have to go with him and Werner. And then I think it gets really interesting here, because you can make an argument that Kai Havertz works very well with Timo, and you can see most of their combination play has been best when those two are playing together from a starting position. But this is where I am going to say, I think, and I know that Pulisic has been great off the bench as a very much of an impact substitute. But if you look at the numbers in the Champions League, especially as of late, he's been probably our best player from an attacking sense in the Champions League. So I think my front three would probably be Timo, Mount, and Pulisic in that regard. And I know he's had some up and downs, and it's pretty much, that's, I guess, the same thing with most of our attackers in that sense, is that there really hasn't been that consistent hot hand throughout the season, as evidenced by Jorginho having the most goals in the Premier League for us this season. So it's been a tough time attacking this season, but I think that's who I would go with in just kind of hoping that Pulisic replicates that form that he had against Real Madrid and just steps up and really shows us more of the same. But I feel it's a really difficult question. I feel that whichever way we go, it's just a matter of everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, and it's going to be down to what Tuchel views as whose strengths and weaknesses are best suited for this particular match, as opposed to just from an overall, on average kind of approach. So it's going to be really interesting to see. I think that's really what you're right. That's where a lot of the fan base is going to be having their eye on, because the defense and goalkeeper and in the midfield maybe is the only other question. But the front line is going to be really interesting. So if we get that wrong, I think it's going to be disastrous. So, he's got to really pick the right guys for this match, particularly.
Amart, how important is it for the front three, whoever plays respectively, to show up on the day? We've seen a lot of times, when as an example, one of our players or strikers is on the pitch and suddenly they've just stopped performing, and we've had to replace them. We've seen Tuchel do some substitutions at halftime into 30 minutes into the game, which in a final you wouldn't want to do. Granted, yes, you have 5 substitutions, but again, you don't want to be substituting your front three or any player at 30 minutes because they're not playing well. So how important is this for Tuchel to get it right, and who would your front three be?
It's extremely important that he gets it right for tomorrow's game. But as for them turning up, I don't have an issue with them turning up. I think in the games that we've lost in previous the previous games, they've turned up, but the only issue is that they don't finish. That's the only thing. You can see that they play very well when they are playing. Timo has had good performances in our last 2-3 games, but it's the finishing. It's the finishing that has to be on point, and that's what I continue to hammer, because as long as we finish, nobody cares about the attackers that are playing. As long as you're able to finish your chances, that's it. Because that's what City has over us. Because no matter what City puts out there, you know that at least most of their, like 90% of the attackers will take their chances if they get them. Like, you know that about City, the City attackers. But you can't see the same thing about us. Even though our attackers could be put amongst like some of the best in the Premier League and some of the best in the world at the moment, but it's the finish. The finishing has to get better. So for me, I think my front three might be a bit controversial, a bit different from you guys, and I might be shooting myself in the foot, because I initially said that we need fast players on the pitch, but I would so much prefer that we go with Havertz, Ziyech, and Mount, because and I know that Ziyech sometimes feels disinterested when he's playing, but for some reason this guy just turns up in the Champions League. I don't know why he does that. And even against for Ajax the last season, he plays well in the league as well. But when he plays in the Champions League, he's different gravy. Like, he's a different player altogether, and he has been the same thing. He has done the same thing for us. So I don't know what it is. I can't really base it on form, because I'm just going on the fact that he turns up in the Champions League. That's my basis for putting him there. And Mount offers way more than what the other players offer. And he's creative, and he's also good in scoring as well. Even though the last game he did a lot of mistakes, he missed a lot of chances. But I feel like when the stage is set, he will be able to take his chances well. And Havertz, playing as an attacker, did so well against Real Madrid, and he could have scored 2 audacious, beautiful goals, but unfortunately he didn't get them. So I mean, like, that 3 for me is the best combination right now. And like Travis said, Pulisic is very, very good when it comes off the bench. He changes the game, adds more pace to the game. So I expect to see Pulisic somehow in the game. I expect to see Ben also somehow in the game. I know my attackers is not what Tuchel is going to go with. I know Timo will start, probably Ziyech won't start, but that's what I wish would happen, because I feel like those 3 offer way more in the Champions League for us than the other ones.
I agree with you. I think looking at the stats, these 3 players have had more contributions than anyone in the team. But I feel like if I'm Tuchel, I would kind of be looking at Werner starting because of his pace and what he can offer.
Yeah.
He's quite physical as well. So Werner, I think for me starts. Mount is he shouldn't even be. He would be the first person on that team sheet. Mason Mount, honestly, he's been incredible this whole season. Yes, the last few performances people have been criticizing him for it, but again, you can't really say anything to a player of a season. You know, he's created more chances as Travis said. He's created more chances than any other player, not just in Chelsea, but I think in the Premier League as well. So you can't really be leaving him out on a game like this. And I think on the third one, it's going to be between Ziyech and Kai Havertz, whereas sometimes Werner and Kai Havertz do really click on well, and they cause problems to the opponents. But then there's also Ziyech who can come on and even start a game and be the difference. And as Amart said, his UCL performances are on a different level. He's made for UCL nights, so it's going to be a tricky one for Tuchel, I think, in my opinion as well. So it'll be interesting to see who starts, but whoever it is, please just score a goal. First 20 minutes, I think Chelsea just need to go in and attack the same way we started against Real Madrid. I think that if I would ask you guys all the question, would you say the first 20 minutes of Real Madrid or the first 30 minutes of Real Madrid before Benzema scored that goal and the way we were playing, I think those were the best 20 minutes of the season. And the way we were playing, clicking together, even wrong passes looked like they were the right passes and they were meant to be. So yeah, some of that Chelsea tomorrow, but again, it's all up to Tuchel and how we play. But yeah, let's move on to the questions on social media that have been sent to us. First of all, which Manchester City player do you fear the most, if there are any? I'll go to Travis for this one first, and then to Shyam.
I think it's really easy to pick out some players, like Kevin De Bruyne, but I think the one that fears me the most, especially if you look at his form in the Champions League, is Riyad Mahrez. That's who I am most worried about. I think he's quietly had an incredible season there. And I think that tactically he's going to offer a lot for them, right? If he's going to be facing up against Azpilicueta, if he puts them on the left side and Azpilicueta's on the right, if he wants to exploit that mismatch, although I know he usually plays on the right, it might make more sense to exploit the mismatch with Azpilicueta if he's going to be stuck at wing back. And that goes back to what we were saying earlier. I would agree when it was said earlier, I would not be playing Azpilicueta at wing back for this match. I would really fear that his lack of pace is going to become a huge issue. So that's who that would be my danger man is Mahrez. He can score goals. He can whip in the crosses. He can make the dribbles. He can beat you down the wing. And I think that could be a lot of cause for concern for us. I know, and that's another thing is because if he's on the wing, right, it's going to be much more of a 1v1 battle with whichever wing back he's paired against. Whereas he's not going to be engaging as much necessarily with the three center backs as their striker or false nine. Would probably be doing. So that would be my danger man from City. That's who I'd be most concerned about in trying to really limit their chances and make sure you get that one-on-one battle right from a defensive standpoint.
Shyam, who would be the one person that you kind of fear from Real Madrid, from Manchester City?
I think this is a very difficult question. I think all of us on the same page here. When I say that this entire team of City is very dangerous on their given day, and their given day occurs every single day. So to me, I think Phil Foden, I think if he gets his chance, he's gonna be the trump card for Pep. And why I say this is because of the fact that apart from goals and assists, he keeps the defenders on their toes. Be it his touch, be it his moments in the final third. He combines so well with every single player in that City team, every single player. And I think the last time I saw any player do something like him was Kevin De Bruyne out there. He combines so well with everyone out there. And I think Phil Foden, if he starts in place of say an Ilkay Gundogan out there, is gonna be so important for them. His form in UCL has been extremely fab. And apart from the fact that Pep even mentioned the fact that he has been the best team talent he has ever worked with. So I think he's gonna be really important. And one player that I'm scared of, to say the least.
I think I'll echo what Shyam said, and I'll say this: Chelsea, it's the whole team, and their given day is every day. But yeah, Amart, one Man City player that you fear.
Um, I have to agree with Shyam there. Like, I also like. I mean, we all unanimously fear the whole squad, and definitely, KDB has some form of grudge still harboring in him against us. So he somehow always turns up against Chelsea. Somehow always does that. So we know KDB is a given. Is somebody that we we fear no matter what. But yeah, Foden is somebody that I like. If I were to pick somebody from the team that I really admire, I think he would be the one of the players that I admire. I like how he plays, and he takes his chances. Like, I've always liked players like that. I like players that the least chance that they get, they bury it. And he has a sweet right foot on him. He has a sweet right foot. He has a sweet left foot. He can score with any of them. So he's very dangerous. If he starts, like, I mean, he's going to worry our defense a lot. He has pace. He has his movement, everything. Like Shyam said, he works perfectly with everybody. Like, any combination that you put around him, any players that you put around him, he works perfectly with Mahrez, works perfectly with Sterling, everybody. Like, sometimes he's even used instead of some of the big names that we know out there. So I mean, he's definitely going to worry us, and he's the one that I'm afraid of the most.
Yeah, I think Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, and Riyad Mahrez, all three players, and at the same time the whole City team. But again, we've made it to the set finals as well. We're equally as deserving as City to be playing in this final. Underdogs once again, but again, that's how Chelsea thrive. That's how we play. No one thought we were going to win in 2012. No one thinks we're going to win it tomorrow. So I don't mind it that way, as long as at the end of the day we bring the cup back to England. Um, I think that would be the stream for tonight. That would be the episode for tonight. I would like to thank both the guests for coming on. Shyam, thank you for joining us, even though I think it's 2 a.m. in India right now. And Travis, thank you for giving your time. If you guys want to follow both these guests, links will be in the description below. Once I end the live stream, I'll add them in. If you want to follow them, their usernames should be on the screen right now as well. Both incredible writers for their respective Chelsea admins, as well as both great contributors to Chelsea Social. Thank you for coming on, Shyam and Travis.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. I really appreciate it, and really good talk with you all about it. But let's just hope tomorrow it's a win for us. So that's all I can say. Thanks again, though. I appreciate it.
I think that would be all from us tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys want to find the audio of this, we'll hopefully try and upload it by tomorrow morning, as it will take some time for YouTube to process it. So thank you for joining. We'll see you hopefully after the UCL final in a happy mood when Alex is back as well, and then a few more guests on that one as well. If you want to watch the live watch along, you can follow us on our second channel, CFC Chat. It would be in the description below. A lot of guests lined up for that tomorrow as well, so make sure to tune in and join the discussions on there as well. Thank you guys for listening in, and we'll see you next time.